are certain things that successful people do that unsuccessful people either don't know, don't have the discipline to do, or neglect. And I will share with you what I can in 45 minutes that you can use and apply to your business and immediately have more success. So let's begin with a thought from Michael Dell, who achieved a modest amount of success in business. So here's what Michael had to say, and I'm not going to read it for you. I know you can read faster than I can repeat it. But here's the point that I want to make. So when Michael says you just need a framework and a dream, my assumption is that you already have a dream, that you have a dream in your mind right now, and what you would like is a framework. So that's my job for you this morning, is to provide the framework, because I can't provide the dream for you. You already have that. So the first thing that is so important out of the gate is that you need to think big. You have to think big. And why not? Because we have a choice in our lives to think big or to think small. And what I have found and heard and read is that the energy that it takes, the capacity that it takes to achieve our dreams is similar when you think big versus think small. Your brain has limitless capacity and potential. Therefore, when we think small, your brain will accommodate that thinking, and it will help you to achieve those small dreams. But when you think big, it tests your brain. It puts you to a greater challenge, and it forces you to go bigger. So why not use the limitless capacity that we have and go bigger? Because when you do, this is how you feel. It feels so awesome when you think big and you go for it. You see that level of exhilaration? That's what happens when you think big and you start making it towards that. That's how it feels. But how far will you go to think big? Because you will be tested when this happens. So in 1978, John Mackey decided to start an alternative market. He wanted to start an alternative market that would not feature all of the same products as the mainstream markets. He felt that the mainstream markets actually were not healthy. They were not contributing to a healthy lifestyle, and he had a better idea. Do you know what the name of this first market was? A hint, it wasn't Whole Foods. So if you thought it was that simple, it's not that simple. What was his first iteration called?
Healthy foods.
No, good guess though. It was called Safer Way. Safer Way, right. It's a little known trivia fact about Whole Foods. The first Safer Way would not offer any products with alcohol, caffeine, sugar, or white flour. How well do you think that market did? Within a year, he had already lost half of the money that had been invested through friends and family. It wasn't going so well. So he decided that maybe we need to be a little less alternative. So he thought that he could strike a balance between providing healthy products, but also providing products that people might actually want to buy. So Whole Foods became reality. His father was an early investor, advisor, and mentor into his business. They were great partners, and they worked together really well. Until it got to 1994. In 1994, Whole Foods was at a crossroads, and John wanted to go big. His father wanted to remain conservative and not go as big. He thought that they should maintain a more modest track to growth. He thought that the more conservative way would be the safer way. John disagreed with that, and he disagreed with it so much that he asked his father to resign. Can you imagine asking your father to resign from the company that you created together? That he invested in, advised you on, he mentored you through those years? Not counting all those years before the company started. I mean, he did bring John into the world, right? He brought him up. It was a pretty tough decision. That's how far some people will go to think big. It created a rift between father and son. 1 year later, John's dad realized that John had made the right decision, and he forgave him for kicking him out of the company. So that's how far you might have to go sometimes. You'll have to make some pretty tough personal decisions when you decide to go big. What's your big idea? I'd like to hear from some of you. Wayne said, I hope it's interactive. Well, it is interactive. So here's your chance. I want you to just shout out, what's your big dream? Because when you shout it out and you let it be heard, it takes on a different level of reality when you stop keeping it inside here and you actually say it in public. So who wants to share? What's your big idea?
Royal Crown Diamond.
Royal Crown Diamond. Is that a cola?
No, it's healthy.
Okay. Well, actually, I know Sharon. Sharon's a client of mine. Royal Crown Diamond means that she would reach the pinnacle of achievement in the organization in which she's a distributor of products. So that's a big dream. She is thinking big because a very small percentage of people in that organization will ever reach that pinnacle. And why not? Why not, Sharon? Please, sir, you raised your hand.
Copy the Sobrato Center for a Nonprofit Success Model.
So you'd like to create a center like that,
Yeah.
like the Sobrato Center. All right, that's thinking big. Have you created anything like that before?
No.
All right, see? So we know it's big, right? If he hasn't done it already, we know it's big. And it's something physical. You have to build it, right? So the next thing is, if you have a big dream, it has to be different. If her big dream was just a new fast food place, that wouldn't have caught your attention. But when she said a healthy fast food place, that made you think, okay, that's different. That's different. That's a blue pin. A blue pin is thinking the same. A red pin is thinking different. So let's take a look at some examples of thinking different and being different. Do you know this person? Okay, I'm going to do my best version of pronouncing a Turkish name. Hamdi Ulukaya. He's actually the creator of Chobani yogurt. Right? If you didn't hear, she said Faj yogurt. No. So when Hamdi came to the U.S., Hamdi looked for a yogurt that reminded him of his homeland, of yogurt that he used to enjoy in his native land of Turkey. And he couldn't find it. He couldn't find it, at least not in mainstream markets. And so then he thought, why not? Why shouldn't there be healthy yogurt that I used to enjoy available here in America? So he had a big idea to bring out a different kind of yogurt because we were not eating Greek yogurt on a regular basis before Hamdi. So he created Chobani, and he had this opportunity to take over this factory that was shutting down. It was a yogurt factory shutting down. And sometimes, once we decide to pursue our big dream, our superconscious mind actually goes out like a heat-seeking missile and finds those opportunities that we'll then have to risk it all and go for. So he saw that, and he said, I guess it's my turn. So he seized the opportunity, and he took over that factory, and then he hired a master yogurt maker. Because he knew what great Greek yogurt tasted like, he just didn't know how to make it. And sometimes our big ideas need someone else to bring them into reality, right? We just have the idea, but we don't know how to make it real. So Hamdi hired a master yogurt maker, took over the factory, and now Chobani is the #1 Greek yogurt in the U.S. What other Greek product do we eat on a regular basis in households across the country? Hummus is becoming very popular, right? So you can break a category and then pave the way for other people to now come into that segment. Hamdi was a game changer and created a new category for people. If you have the big idea and you are going to be different, well, you better have a clear goal. You need to know where you're going. What is it that you're shooting for? Because how are you going to hit your target if you don't have one? And how will you know you've hit it if you don't have a clear goal? So people that know me know that I'm all about goal setting. I am very pro goal setting. And not just goal setting to where you kind of let your goals rattle around in your brain. I believe that you should write them down. That you should write them down and be very specific about your goals. And once you're fixed on your goals, be relentless. Don't give up. Here's an example of someone who is clear on his goals and didn't give up. Who is this?
Rocky Balboa.
It's Rocky Balboa. He has his own statue in Philadelphia. Pretty awesome. So Rocky, also known as Sylvester Stallone, had this dream. He watched this boxing match and was inspired to write a screenplay. Legend has it that he wrote it in about 24 hours. I've never actually talked to Sly and verified that story. I've read that he wrote it in about 24 hours from beginning to end. And he had his screenplay, and now he had to have investors to make it a reality. He started shopping it around, and here's what happened. Slam, 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 slam. He kept getting the door slammed in his face because people were not interested in his screenplay. Who cares about a movie about a boxer? There's nothing different about it. There's nothing special about it. We're not interested. But did Rocky give up? No, he didn't give up. He kept on going through a few more slams as his bank account was dwindling. Stallone got to the point where he actually had to go to a store in his town and wait for someone to come along and buy his dog. He sold his dog because he was that broke. And he loved that dog. So this was actually really, really difficult for him. But he wouldn't give up on his dream. He would actually spend days in a library because the library was heated. During the winter, he couldn't pay for his heating bills. So he would turn the heater way, way down, and his apartment was too cold to stay in. So he'd go to the library during the day. There are other good uses for a library. I have to say that.
Brad will like that then.
Yes, yes. Well, he finally found a place that was interested in the screenplay. They were willing to spend real money on it. But it came with one condition that was unacceptable. And that was that Stallone was Rocky. He would star in the movie that he wrote. Well, unfortunately, this investment company said, that's a no-go. If you're going to star in the movie, we can't imagine it becoming a hit. You're short, you talk funny, and you're not really star-looking. So we're not interested. Stallone said, I have to star in the movie. That is the requirement. So the deal broke. They came back and offered him more money to not star in the movie. They were interested. They saw in the screenplay what he saw. They just didn't see him in the screenplay. He turned them down again. And they said, all right. Then they came back and said, all right, we'll offer you a fraction of what we offered you previously if you'll star in the movie, because we want to take the risk down to about zero, because we really don't believe that this movie's going to go anywhere with you in it. I think it was around $25,000. He accepted that offer, and the rest is history. Turned into a $1 billion franchise, right? Went over 6 or 7 movies. Now Stallone's big dream is to take Rocky to Broadway. And he's received millions of dollars of investment to turn Rocky into a Broadway play.
I think it's also important to point out that the film won the Academy Award and the screenplay won the Academy Award.
That year, the movie and the screenplay won the Academy Award. On the way to the ceremony, his tie broke and he went into the ceremony without a tie. And people felt like, you have such little respect for this ceremony. You're not even wearing a tie. Jeff Bezos had a really big idea. I remember when I was at the Beresford tennis courts about to play a round of tennis many, many years ago, and I heard this story on the radio about this guy that had this idea of building the world's largest bookstore. And I thought, wow, that's an interesting idea. Doesn't sound that interesting, really. Now I'm addicted to this company. I shop from this company multiple times a week. It seems like anytime I think of something, I go to Amazon and that product's available and I have it at my doorstep in 2 days. His big idea has turned into something massive, massively successful and popular. His secret is to associate with the right people. Of course, you cannot turn something into something so successful without a team. But if you're not careful about the people you associate with, your big dream could not end up being successful. It's that pivotal to associate with the right people, and that's why he put this statement out into the world. So let's review these concepts in section number 1 about starting out and some success principles. First, you need to think big, but be different. Then set clear goals and don't give up, and associate with the right people. If you do these things, you'll have a good start.